Welcome to Ion Sterile Process, and I am so glad you made it. We're going to talk about these line managers, these line hiring managers, particularly because it happened to me. It happened to all of us. We've all experienced it. So that's why I want to get down to that and maybe give you a few tips or ideas of what you can actually do. That's the purpose of this, okay? But I'm going to talk about my experience first because I want to share it with you. So when I first interviewed for sterile processing, the manager that I had, she was pretty much by the book. So she asked me textbook questions. The interview went good. The department wasn't really that bad. Her goal was really to have people get certified. And the fact that she was a textbook type manager, a lot of people were pissed off because she was implementing policies and procedures. I can handle managers like that. And then my next interview I had was during a vacation I was on when I was in Colorado. And I interviewed. It was a great opportunity for me, not just to leave California, but this particular hospital. So I was really excited, went through the interview, got the job offer, moved back in about 30 days, get to the department, and it was hell. The people who had been there were on mandatory overtime, and they couldn't believe that on top of them having mandatory overtime and they were overworked, now we have to train these new people. Oh, okay. So the fact that they didn't want to spend time to train us, meaning we didn't know what they wanted and what their expectations were. So of course we didn't measure up. So they complaining about the work that we didn't do, that we didn't know we were supposed to do. And it was a mess. And then the straw that broke the camel back for me is when the lead tech was about to get into a fight with one of the techs. They like standing toe to toe. I was like, you know what? This is a hostile work environment. The girl don't have time for this. And I end up putting in my 2 week notice. Okay, so I put in my 2 week notice, letting the manager know. And he told me, we're handing your badge at the end of your shift. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, from my past experiences, people who put in a 2 week notice usually do sloppy work after the fact. And I'm like, well, you don't, I'm to myself, I didn't tell him this, but everybody should know that if I'm giving you a 2 week notice, I already planned to leave a long time ago. So my mindset is already out of here. I don't do bad work on purpose. You know what I mean? So I was like, whatever. So I went to HR and talked to them, and that was all straightened out, baby. I did put in my 2 week notice, and I did not work for 2 weeks, and I got paid. I went to Mount Rushmore. So there you go. After that, I left that job. I went to another job. Interview was beautiful, brand new hospital, only been open for like 1 year. They had 4 ORs. Everything was brand new. It was gorgeous. I loved it. The little small town. Come to find out, these people been struggling with wet loads for like the last week or two before I got there. So I step into the department ready to work, but we pulling out loads and they're dripping wet. It wasn't just wet packs; they were dripping wet. And I'm thinking like, so the manager couldn't have told me about this before they actually hired me. No, they didn't. And not only that, the manager didn't even stay there much longer. That manager ended up leaving to go get another job. And I'm like, oh, wow. This was a shit show. So that's why I really started reflecting. I started thinking, like, yeah, we really need to talk about this because this is crazy to me. Okay, so let's get to it. So it's always about what you're going to get out of this because it's important that you know what's going on. So I just really want you to be able to identify when the manager is not telling the truth. I mean, and that's a gray line. You have to use your own intuition, but at least we have something to work with. And I want you to develop your own set of important questions to ask during the interview. To maybe identify if somebody's lying. And then what you're going to learn things to look for or look out for during each step of the hiring process. And then we're going to go through the list with the 10. And that's how we're going to run that. Okay. You ready? Here we go. So we're talking about the 4 stages of hiring, and we're going to start off with the job posting. So you need to ask yourself about that job posting. Has it been there for a long time? Or did you notice that it was posted and then it went down as if someone was hired? And then you look back maybe a month or so later and it's back. And this can indicate that there are issues with that position or that location. So that's an indication with that. As far as the interview go, has it been canceled a lot of times? Were the person interviewing, were they late? Did they even can you tell if they didn't read your resume? Like they scrambling, like they don't even know what your background is because they never read your resume. That could be another sign you want to look out for. And then even after the interview, after the main interview, there's 100 other post interviews. You're interviewing with everybody. So it's like, okay, what does that mean? Does it mean that they're having a hard time making a decision? Does it mean there's too many chiefs? Too many people running the ship that everybody has to be. So when you get into the job, it's like if I need to go to the bathroom, I need to text message, email, put it on the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that even work? Because nobody want to be micromanaged. And then the offer. When you get down to the offer, you negotiate your salary, and the hiring manager doesn't negotiate. So it's just like, you take this or not. So then you have to think about that. Once you get inside of the department, that means that everything is concrete. That means you have no flexibility, no room for growth. because it's the way the manager wants to rule. They're ruling like a dictator. And there's different leadership styles. You should look them up and figure out what kind of leader that you prefer to work with. I mean, I don't care to work with those kind of leaders. Okay. So let's talk about the lies. One thing they say, it could be a lie and it could be true. They will say that, hey, you know what? We're still interviewing. Okay. Well, if you're still interviewing, can you please tell me, how do I measure up with the other candidates? Because if they're still interviewing, that means two things. One thing, they can say they're still interviewing and they're really not. And they may just offer you a job as soon as you get up out of there. But it also could mean that you're not what they're looking for. So then maybe you can find out what exactly they're looking for, and maybe it can help you on the next go around with other interviews at other locations. So I think that's why that is really a great question to ask. And then the next one is, can I can't offer you any more money. And the thing is, we all know this a sliding scale. There's a budget. They can give you more money if they wanted to. But then the question you can ask, well, what other compensation outside of pay can you offer me? Like, can you front load me some PTO? You got pet care. You have elder care. Do you have any vacation pay, education pay? Will you pay for my textbooks if I want to get certified? What else can you offer me? Right? Oh, here's another one. We don't have a pay range, or the salary depends on experience. Really? Okay. Usually the company has a ballpark figure in mind. And I've seen managers that will go to bat for some people to get them paid more money than what's listed on the job board. And they get people more money because they feel like they're that valuable. And so it's very possible there's a budget. So if a hiring manager asks for your salary requirements, they're trying to see whether you're in the range a lot of times. And usually if they ask you that up front, the best thing for you to say is, you know what, I need to know more about the job. I need to know more about the duties, because they're already trying to eliminate you if they possibly can. Okay. Then number 4, we appreciate our techs. Do you? Do you have even a career path for your techs? If you're somebody that's trying to go somewhere and you want to move up in sterile processing, the career path is something that you're actually interested in, then if they don't have a career path, then they just blowing smoke by saying how much they appreciate their techs and look out for their techs and how wonderful that place is. Well, you don't even have a career path, right? You don't have a tech 1, 2, 3, nothing. All right. And then lastly, not lastly, but number 5, we have competitive wages. Okay, wow. Well, tell me about the promotions. What kind of promotions are available? What any bonuses, tuition reimbursement, and back to the child care or carpooling discounts? Do you have anything for carpooling or anything like that? And then you would know if they're just blowing smoke. Could be another indication for you. Okay, so let's go through 6 through 10. Oh, I'll call you, Solinja. But they really plan on ghosting you a lot of times. So that's why it's a good idea, if you're comfortable, ask for a business card, not just really to call them in case they don't call you, because you want to also send them a thank you letter for the interview, or a thank you note or email for the interview. So you can ask them, well, what can I expect your call? You know, and then if you do get the call and they don't offer you the job, then you can ask for, what could I have done better? What could make me a valuable, candidate next time? And that could be some insight for you as well. What if they embellish the pay or the perks? That happened to me. It was a recruiter I dealt with, and the recruiter told me that I was going to get front loaded PTO. And I was like, okay, well, that's condition. She said, yeah, because of the position you're in, you're going to get front loaded PTO. And I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. What I didn't do was make sure it was in the offer letter. And so when I end up taking the job, I asked about my front loaded PTO, and they said, oh, it doesn't work for your job title. And I even talked to the recruiter like, you lied. I emailed her like, you misrepresented this job. That was so unfair. So make sure it is in your offer letter, because you never know. People will flip the script on you. Okay. They talk about the company culture is great. Oh, okay. Well, everybody know, if you're trying to build a solid company culture, it takes work. It's not something that just organically happen. Like, oh, we just lucky. No. So then the question you can ask them, like, oh, well, what team building activities or wellness programs do you offer? Oh, if they don't have any, okay, let's move on. We're going in a different direction. Uh-oh. What does that mean? What direction are you in that you're not really comfortable with? That you don't like, the status of the department right now, that you feel like you need to go in a different direction? And then here's another one. Oh, we'll keep your resume on file. Okay, well, how long does it last on file? Does it expire? Will I have to resubmit in the future? When can I resubmit? Don't just blow me off and tell me, oh, we'll keep your resume on file. Girl, stop. We're not doing that. That's why we need to make sure we asking these questions to these people. Okay. And another thing that you will find out is just withholding information. Like I said, what happened with me, the hiring manager plan on resigning soon after they even get you in there. The department is in chaos. Like I said, with the wet loads. You could have told me that. Let me get prepared. Am I going to even have a job? The department has more travelers than permanent employees. Do you know what kind of chaos that can be? With no permanent employees, so people are constantly changing every 13 week possibly. Is that an environment you want to be in? You need to know these things. The company is downsizing or reducing surgeries due to COVID-19. Can you imagine you go take a job and they already having plans on furloughing people or cutting back? It happens. It even happens to travelers. It happens to permanent people. They know they downsizing and they bringing people on just in case. I don't know what the reason is behind it. I've seen it done and it makes no sense. The department has experienced 3 different managers in 2 years. I've been to places like that too. The manager's changing. So it's like every time a manager or a supervisor or someone comes in, of course, they're going to change things to fit their idea of what the department should look like. So if you have 2 managers and within 1 year, that is so much confusion, especially if they all come in there changing stuff. So a lot of the techs are burnt out, pissed off, mad, confused. You know what I mean? There's no real structure when you go through that many managers. So I hope you find this information value. This is what I spent days trying to come up with, believe it or not, running into all kind of glitches because I really wanted to talk about this. And I hope you think about this when you're going out there on these job interviews and you're not just jumping from the skillet right into the fire, because that's what happened. We'll leave jobs that we really don't like and don't even realize that we jumping right into a bigger headache. Okay, so if you want this kind of information and everything else that I have available and the content I have out there free for you guys, you can always go on ilspd.com, or you can find me on Facebook at the SPD Grapevine. Now, if you want like a checklist or what I'm really talking about on paper, I created a PDF file that can actually walk you through everything I just said if you didn't write it down. It's the SPT, like sterile processing tech checklist .carrd.co. And what I'm doing after the podcast, my goal is to take everything that's downloadable and put it there to share with you so that you will have for I don't know how long, maybe a limited time, maybe forever. I'm not really sure, but it'll help make things more real for you, I hope. So, anyways, you know the story. You know the story. You continue to go out there and be great, and you continue to take care of these patients one sterile processing tech at a time. Okay? Until next time, peace out.